Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Laura. If you are new here, please subscribe. I am talking all things women's health, wellness, thriving, mindset, manifestation, kind of talk about it all. I started specifically talking about my lipedema, but know that all of these things can support you if you are also living with lipedema. So I've gotten quite a few questions lately and I've touched on things briefly, but haven't done a specific video in regards to brain fog, how to combat it, how to find some mental clarity, as well as hormones. And the reason I'm talking about both of them together is that they are connected. So a lot of people have asked me how I've balanced my hormones, and there isn't a short answer. One thing I strongly suggest for women, especially if you are in your 30s or later, is really tapping in and tuning in to how you feel, maybe even journaling about how you feel at certain times, getting really clear about how well you're sleeping. When we begin to have hormonal changes, this can impact our sleep tremendously, and lack of sleep then impacts our hormones. So it's like this, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Who knows? Regardless, the best place to start is with finding a means to get good sleep. So first off, both of these, this suggestion will both combat brain fog that many of us experience as a result of lipedema, as well as brain fog and an inability to sleep as a result of potentially hormonal changes. So the best place to start is creating an evening routine before bed. We know all of the information. Well, I mean, we have access to the information. It may not be something that you know, but abstaining from screens, whether it's TV, phone, iPad, computer, at least an hour before sleep is going to support you in being able to fall asleep easier. Why is sleep so important? Well, sleep is a time where our body gets an opportunity to sort of regenerate. You often will go into a into your parasympathetic nervous system. This is where you rest and reset and receive, and your system takes care of anything that needs to be taken care of. This also means your hormones. So, having the proper amount of melatonin released in order to prep your body for bed is going to impact your insulin levels, which is going to impact your estrogen as well as your progesterone, and all of these things are interconnected. But I like to break it down like this. Just focus on creating a really wonderful routine that you do before going to bed, because this will then trigger your body to release more melatonin and prepare your body for sleep. So one really, really powerful thing to consider is our circadian rhythm. So getting sunlight first thing in the morning, like through our eyes, helps to release a specific hormone that fires up your system so that you're awake. And potentially seeing the light change when the sun, well, not potentially, it actually is studied. Seeing the light change in the sunset, I was gonna say potentially seeing the sunset, but if you can't actually see the sunset, even seeing the transition from light to dark also triggers your body to release certain hormones to prepare for rest. And so this can be a part of your evening routine. Going for a walk around dawn or dusk is gonna be an impactful way to begin to let your body know that it's evening, it's time to rest and restore and begin to prep for sleep. So there's a whole book on the power of resetting your circadian rhythm and how it impacts your hormones. I have not read it yet, so I can't remember the name of it right now, but Andrew Huberman is a neuroscientist out of Stanford University. He has a podcast, I think, called the Huberman Lab. He speaks at great lengths about this and cites the author of the book about resetting your circadian rhythm. So this is a really, really wonderful place to start, and it will impact your hormones in a really positive way, and has for me. And when we have good sleep, we tend to be more clear when we wake up in the morning. So second thing I did to combat brain fog. I always had a bit of a challenge sleeping, and that's likely because I had undiagnosed ADHD, and so my mind was kind of like all over the place. But, okay, what was I gonna say? See, there it goes. Okay, brain fog, oh right. Okay, so I always sort of had a challenge with sleeping. And so when I would wake up in the morning, I would be like, oh, I don't want to get up, I'm so tired. And I would say this over and over and over again every single morning that I got up. When I began to work in, transition from counseling and social work to the mindset space, I began to really become aware of the things I was telling myself on the daily. And so I decided one thing I wanted to feel in the mornings was energized. So before I felt it, I created the affirmation. First of all, I would start with, oh, my bed is so cozy, I love this. So I was reframing the not wanting to get out of bed. And then the second part was, I'm so energized and refreshed and excited for my day. I'm so energized and refreshed and excited for my day. And so I began to say this to myself every morning. It may have even been before I opened my eyes. It's really powerful if you can say it out loud. If you don't feel comfortable saying it out loud because there's someone else in your bed as well, just say it in your head, or even write it down several times in a journal if you do morning journaling. This was a game changer. The really cool thing about our brains is when we tell our brain something, it looks for proof or evidence to affirm what it is that we've told it. So when we tell our brain, I'm so tired, I need more sleep, I didn't get enough sleep, our brain looks for all of the things that confirm that. When we begin to tell ourselves, I'm so refreshed and energized and excited for the day, our brain begins to look for all of the things that we're excited about or all of the things that make us feel refreshed. So it is very powerful the way we speak to ourselves, and this can help with mental clarity as well. Okay, it does not negate the fact that having a sluggish lymphatic system can greatly impact and cause brain fog. It definitely does. So some of the other things that I do to support myself and to support mental clarity was self-massage as well as self-manual lymphatic drainage. So just even taking your cream and rubbing your legs and sending that fluid towards your lymph nodes. You have some lymph nodes under your knee, sorry, my socks are dirty, under your knee, and you have some lymph nodes where your thigh meets your pelvis, and then you have some up here, and you have some here, and you have lots in your stomach. So deep belly breathing is also another thing that you can do to support your lymphatic system, as well as squatting. Squatting is really, really powerful. Maybe I'll even just show you right here. So even if you, so I like to, oh, it's weird on my bed. I teach yoga. So I like to come into a Buddha squat and press my elbows in towards my thighs and just breathe deeply, allowing my belly to expand. And then exhaling that air out. Breathe in and breathe out. But you don't have to come into a Buddha squat to do deep belly breaths. You can simply, if maybe you're even at work, taking a deep breath in and exhaling out is going to impact and support your lymphatic system, especially with all of those lymph nodes located in your belly. And also all of those things support balancing out your hormones. So if you have an influx of estrogen, our lymphatic system identifies anything that isn't supporting us. And so it will get rid of excess hormones, it will get rid of wonky cells, it will get rid of toxins. And the thing about lipedema is when we have lipedema, our lymphatic system is overworked. So if there's different things that we can do to support it, do it. So another thing that I did to support my lymphatic system and to assist with any kind of, creating more mental clarity was paying attention to foods that caused inflammation, because then that created more toxins for my lymphatic system to need to get rid of. It's very common, as cited by Dr. Karen Herbst, that many women with lipedema have leaky gut and leaky veins. And what happens is when we eat something that our body can't quite break down properly, it's like our intestinal walls have become permeable and it will leak out. So the hypothesis is that some of that wheat will leak out into your system, and then your lymphatic system needs to take care of it. I also have venous insufficiency, so having leaky veins also creates excess fluid for the lymphatic system to take care of. So the point of that was identifying foods that cause inflammation and then eating less of those foods and more of the foods that support your well-being is really truly going to support you in, one, being able to, your hormones will balance out better if your lymphatic system isn't super taxed. Two, if there's certain foods that impact your body in a negative way, it can throw off all of your hormones, can increase your insulin levels, and this impacts all of your other hormones. So it is really a benefit to you to really tap in and tune into how you feel when you eat, how you feel when you wake up, how you feel throughout the day, so that you can then do more of what feels good, and implementing more things that make you feel good really encourages you to let the things that don't make you feel good kind of fall by the wayside. So I also, and have always done this, drank a lot of water, and this helps to flush your system, and this can definitely help with getting rid of any excess hormones that maybe don't serve you, as well as supporting your lymphatic system to be able to flush and flow and just take care of everything that it needs to take care of. So this is my other piece of advice. So if you're going to take two pieces of advice to begin to support balancing your hormones as well as finding more mental clarity, I would say create a good sleep routine. It is easier to begin to get up at the same time every day than to try and make yourself go to bed at a certain time. So for example, for me, I get up in the morning at 6:40 a.m. and then that means that I'm tired by a certain time in the evening, and so then I begin to prep for bed. Going to bed as well as waking up at the same time also support your system and healthy hormone levels. But the tip is simply to begin to create a routine. So the routine or a new habit might simply be making a sleepy time tea at 8 p.m. And this is then going to become a habit. And if you are able to fall asleep at a decent amount of time, then after about a month of drinking that sleepy time tea around 8 p.m., your body then says, oh, it's time to prep for sleep. And so this can be really, really powerful. And then the second thing that you guys can start today is drinking more water. I like to add lemon to my water. It makes it definitely far more appealing. As well as encouraging more drinking of water will support you in not really wanting other drinks. Different sugar alternatives, so sweeteners, can impact your hormones in a negative way. And so just by creating a new habit of drinking water more regularly will help those habits to, again, fall by the wayside. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about me and balancing my hormones. So in terms of blood test results, my hormones seemed pretty normal, but I had all of the symptoms of excess estrogen. With lipedema, it's very common, and the really cool thing is it's like our bodies are really smart, and so they found a means to cope with excess hormones and fluids in our system. What will happen is you have that fat cell and it engulfs fluid as well as hormones. And so it's very common that different hormonal changes in women triggers an increase in lipedema fat growth. And so what generally happens is there'll be an excess of estrogen, and this fat then engulfs that estrogen and then encases it in a hard shell so that it cannot escape. Once it does that, our body says, wait a minute, where'd that fat cell go? We're down one. So then it creates a new fat cell, which is not typical in adults, but is something that happens in women with lipedema because the body is smart and no longer recognizes this fat cell that's now lipedema fat that has encased the estrogen as fat. And so it's like, wait, we're down one. So say you have 200 fat cells. It's like, we're at 199, and then it's smart and it makes another one. So I had all of the symptoms of excess estrogen. I'll kind of share a little bit of them. Heavy periods, long periods, a uterine cyst. I began to gain weight around my belly, and for any of you lipedema ladies out there, often they call it the two compartment disease, I think. It's because often you'll have like one size body on the top and then another size body on the bottom. And so from the waist up, like I was always camera ready there because I was, say for example, a size 4 there. And then down below, I was like an 8 or a 10. So all of a sudden I started gaining weight around my belly. I was also having difficulty sleeping, not so much falling asleep, but waking up regularly in the middle of the night. Brain fog, this can be a symptom of different hormonal changes. Okay, I can't think of any right now, but you can Google them, and if there's a long list, I likely could have checked off every single one. And so I had previously been on birth control, Mirena, that had progesterone in it and felt very, very good. It was like my hormones felt really balanced. And not every woman with lipedema is this way, but when I was pregnant, my hormones were very balanced. And I knew it was because there was an increase in progesterone. So funny enough, it takes a really long time in Ontario to get referred to an OBGYN who would then be able to discuss different like hormonal stuff or stuff to do with your uterus and potentially hormones. They're not an endocrinologist, but they are experts generally in women's health. So I had a referral for that, and then I decided, okay, I just want to go ahead and try Mirena. And so because I had all of these symptoms and I was going to have the Mirena inserted, which it's an IUD, it's I think silicone, and it has a bit of like slow release progesterone, and it's inserted, you probably know. So I had to have an ultrasound, and it was apparent that I had a uterine cyst. So my family doctor didn't feel comfortable, and she knew it would be a long wait for me. Well, she knew that it was going to be a long time before I was going to be able to see an OBGYN. So she referred me to a fertility clinic because they can also see women for gynecological things. So I went in and I explained to the doctor my theory about my own body. I explained about my lipedema. I explained about the excess estrogen. I explained my theory about how I felt like if I had some support with progesterone, or I had some sort of supplement of progesterone, it may combat this excess estrogen. And he listened and did a little thing on his computer. I'm sure he was like looking up some stuff. And then he said, okay, the good news is, you know, we've advanced greatly in the past 20 years, because I had told him that my mom had had a partial hysterectomy because at one point she had experienced like a period for like 8 months, and they had even given her different things to try and stop her period, and it just didn't stop. So I asked him potentially about Mirena, but then I also said, isn't there like some sort of supplement or like medication that we can take? He again did a little bit of research, and there was. So Diastin, I believe, is what I'm on, 2 milligrams, and it's generally prescribed to women with endometriosis, which is another thing that a lot of women have, and it goes undiagnosed for sometimes decades. And so this is where the uterine lining grows outside of the uterus and can cause extreme pain and discomfort, as well as really, really heavy periods. And truthfully, any of my friends that had it were treated for the pain, but not the actual issue. And so this is something that is now being used to treat to combat the uterine lining from growing outside of the uterus. And so he said, let's give this a try and then we'll see how it goes. And so for me, it was the perfect amount. It may not be perfect forever, because I do believe I was like experiencing perimenopause, and as I age like a fine wine, I may require additional hormone replacement therapy, and I'll kind of cross that bridge when I get there. So this is a very personal account of how I was able to balance my hormones. So all of these things happened over a period of time. I knew that sleep would support my hormones, so I began to get more intentional about my sleep. I knew that eating good foods that support my wellness was going to support my hormones. And then I also knew that I had an excess of estrogen, and I wanted to find something that might be able to help me even quicker. And so I found that. So then the last thing that I have implemented that I do know supports balancing out my hormones is I utilize intermittent fasting and longer fasts to support my hormone health. And what happens is I'm not really eating less, because then I just have really big meals later on. I am creating space and time for my body to do what it needs to do to clear out any toxins and kind of rebalance my hormones. The reason I learned more about this was I was getting a lot of questions about weight loss, and they weren't all from women with lipedema. A lot of these women were just entering perimenopause or menopause. And so someone else, I came across information about Dr. Jason Fung, and he wrote a book called The Obesity Code. And he speaks about how, while diet is important for our health and balancing our hormones and keeping our insulin levels at a good level, he said the thing many people miss is not allowing enough time for our body to be able to do what it needs to do to clear things out, so that we're prepped for the next time that we eat. And this made so much sense to me. And so I began to experiment with some of the things that he suggests. So I've also learned from Dr. Mindy. She wrote a book called Fast Like a Girl. And so she speaks directly to fasting and how to support healthy hormones. And she speaks about it in relation to women who are still menstruating, women who are perimenopausal, and women who are menopausal and maybe don't even have a period. And a lot of her research came from Dr. Jason Fung, and then she applied it specifically to women's health. So she has a really great book called Fast Like a Girl. Highly recommend it. She also puts out a lot of information on YouTube. She is a wonderful wealth of information, and I highly recommend that you check out her YouTube page. I'll post it below here so that you can maybe go check out some of her stuff. And yeah, so if I were to suggest starting anywhere, it would be create some habits that trigger your body to prep for sleep. So drinking tea, going for a walk and catching the sunset. And the second one is incorporating more water into your routine. Actually, and I'm gonna add a third one because you can start this today too. Creating a mindset, like an intention of how you're gonna think first thing in the morning. And so, like I said, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I wish I could just stay in bed, I start with, oh, my bed's so cozy, I love it, and I'm refreshed, I'm clear, and I am ready to start my day, ready and excited to start my day. So yeah, incorporate those three things and know that you are on the path to really thriving, no matter where you are in this life, no matter where you are on your lipedema journey, if you have lipedema or you're balancing your hormones or your wellness or weight loss journey, all of these things are going to impact your life in a positive way. So, okay, I will leave Dr. Mindy's YouTube page in the comments here so that if you're curious, you can go check her out. And if you have found a way to create more mental clarity as well as balance your hormones, feel free to share it in the comments. This is an opportunity to share some of your experience with other women who may have an experience similar to you. I shared mine because you may have a similar experience to mine. And you know, if even one of you is able to figure some stuff out about your hormones, get better sleep, then I am so happy that I posted this. Okay, that is it. This was a long one. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and yeah, make sure that you like this post, share it with anyone who might be interested, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Bye guys.